quick drains are great. Use them, not a problem. Every third oil change, every 100 hours, take the quick drain and remove it completely from the sump in the aircraft engine. With the oil in there, don't drain the oil out using the quick drain to start with. Remove it. Yes, you're going to have a mess. Yes, it's going to splash places, but there's some reasons for that.
I'm John.
I'm Jeff.
And this is Keep Those Props Turning. Perspectives and insights to keep you flying, not grounded.
So Jeff, today I wanted to give some insight to everybody about quick drains. You know, we see them on aircraft engines all the time. We get them in with them, and they're very handy. I mean, as you know, for draining oil out of the engine, it saves on making a mess, and it makes it quick and simple and
sure does.
Stupid, if you will. All you have to do is hook up the hose to it. What do you find? Most people use them?
Yeah, predominantly I find them, as I spoke to you a few days ago, I ran into one engine just recently. I haven't run into one in years that still had an oil sump nut in it. And as a mechanic, it's a bit of a pain just because you have to take the safety wire off, take it out, and let it drain. You get oil all over the place. But with the quick drains, if you have them organized right and maintain them properly, they're easy for both the mechanic and the pilot mechanic to use. And but again,
they're convenient.
They're very convenient.
Yeah.
If you have them set up right, but they're like anything. They're a replaceable part, and they do wear out. So.
Well, here's some things that we find when we get people calling us about an engine and issues with oil coming out. They have a quick drain in, and we had one gentleman who had an engine, and he said, I'm getting real slow draining of my oil out of the engine. I told them to go ahead and pull the quick drain, which they had never done since it was installed, and they found a socket set in there from a mechanic that had worked on it at some point. It was basically blocking the drain.
Oh my.
And this is why I tell people all the time that quick drains are great. Use them, not a problem. But a few things on that. Every third oil change, every 100 hours, take the quick drain and remove it completely from the sump in the aircraft engine. With the oil in there, don't drain the oil out using the quick drain to start with. Remove it. Yes, you're going to have a mess. Yes, it's going to splash places, but there's some reasons for that. We find that these quick drains will typically stick an 1/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch up in the sump, depending on your sump, depending on your engine. It can vary. And what is that doing? It's holding all that crud that your engine's making at the bottom of the sump. Water in particular, water sits at the bottom of the oil. And with a quick drain, very often you're not even getting that water out of there. You're not getting the heavy metals that have fallen in there. You're not seeing any of that until it gets to the point that it's above the threads on here and now happens to come out, which also ties back to the issue that we see where people will do chemical analysis of their oil and everything's great, and then suddenly they get all these red marks, all these yellow marks, something's going on. It didn't just suddenly happen normally.
Right.
It's normally something where now the level of material in the bottom of the sump is now coming over and showing up in what they are sampling out. So again, what we recommend is go ahead and use this. Every 30, 35 hours when you're doing an oil change, use this. But every 100, go ahead and remove it completely and let the volumetric pressure of the oil that's warm pull all that stuff out of the bottom of the sump.
Yeah, it's a very good point. As those threads stick up from the bottom of the sump, guess where all the sludge ends up? It's at the bottom of the sump. So if you take that out, it allows all that to be washed out, so to speak. The other thing I find too is the diameter of the outlet of these sumps varies. This is a fairly large one, but I've seen smaller ones, and when you look at how much you actually open this orifice up to drain, it's very tiny, so it just kind of allows a small amount of oil to trickle through there at one time, rather than if you took this out and let a good 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch hole drain out. Much more efficient to get
that
all the
volumetric pressure.
That's right. You just let
basically
all the junk
draining out.
That's
well,
right.
And we can even see the difference here. This one's larger than that.
That's
and
right.
Again, I've seen them smaller, but we're going from a large size here to a very small size. Now this one is an example of a quick drain plug that somebody used and used and used.
And abused.
And abused. And it looks like it was pulled out a couple times and rounded off the threads here. Bottom line is you got to replace these every 4 or 5 years. They're not that expensive, about $100, $130 for the good quality ones.
Yeah.
You used to be able to overhaul these. You could buy O-rings and sleeves for them, but they had so many failures because people were improperly inserting those things and rebuilding them that they stopped doing it. So now, under FAA guidance, we're told to go ahead and just replace the quick drains with new. I mean, don't assume anything. They're better off just to go ahead and replace it, move on.
Right.
But again, it's really that idea that your sump never lets you, even without a quick drain, completely drain all the oil out of the bottom. There's a lip in there.
That's correct.
Now you're adding to that lip by putting this up in there.
Yep.
So how much stuff have you got in the bottom of your engine?
And while I'm thinking about it, one thing I find more times than not is these have not been safety wired to the sump. And you'll notice there's a drilled hole there. That's designed for safety wires so that this thing can't back out due to vibration. Another important thing.
Yeah, and even this old one here, it doesn't even have that option.
Yeah, you got to wrap it around.
That shows how it's changed.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, like you say, John, best thing you can do is take the whole thing out and let it drain out completely, because you never get all of the oil out if you've got one of those in the sump.
And you can get false readings for your analysis of your oil or what you're seeing.
That's right. And the objective is you want to get all that junk and particulate out of there and start with fresh, clean oil. So it just makes good sense every couple of years, pull it out and clean it out. So.
Or replace it.
Or replace it if it's leaking. That's the other thing. You see these a lot of times when I drain oil on a customer's airplane. Once you relatch it or connect it, it'll sit and drip for maybe 3-4 hours before it finally stops dripping. So the seal is either not sealing properly or it's getting old, and that might be an indication that it's time to change it out. And like you said, $100 in aircraft is very, very low.
Well, and if you stop and think about it, if this fails during flight or at any point in time, could be catastrophic.
That's right.
Or could even be worse.
Cheap parts can bring the airplane down.
Yep.